Hi everybody, Echo here, and welcome back to another video. So, lately you may have noticed that I have not really been doing story time with Echo. That's because I kind of ran out of written stories to tell, and I didn't really know what stories, I didn't really want to write any stories at the moment and everything like that, so I just kind of been putting it on hold, but I also loved doing that with you guys. It was a lot of fun. So, instead, I thought about until I can start writing books again, I was just going to tell you random stories. And I figured, what better stories to tell you than about my Minecraft adventure? And so today, I'm going to be telling you guys the story of how I became a pirate. Yep, I was a pirate one time. And it all began one dark and stormy night. One dark and stormy night, I was just sitting on my ship. It was quite a nice ship. Quite small, well, quite large. I had a crew and everything. I was the captain of the ship, actually. And so we were sailing through a storm one night, and the waves were crashing, thunder roared, and rain poured. And all of the crew were panicking and just running around the deck. And I was trying to steer the ship and trying to keep everything in order, shouting orders like all good captains do. Until crash, we hit something. At least I thought we hit something. I was thrown forward and knocked out. And when I awoke, I was on the I was on a sandy beach with seashells, very confused as to what had happened. And my ship was gone, and so was my crew. Apparently, while I was knocked out, the crew had decided to declare mutiny against their captain and stranded me on a deserted island. Well, you must imagine I was quite angry with the crew for abandoning their captain, and so I spent a few days on the island just trying to collect food and resources until I had enough resources to make a little raft. And so I climbed on that raft and started sailing off in search of my ship. And we sailed on and on and on until one day I did find my ship. They had somehow managed to crash the ship against a rock. And so the ship was in no condition to sail. And so I boarded my ship and began trying to repair it. Well, back on my old ship, I had a brother. He was like my first mate of the ship and everything, and one of the only loyal members of my crew. And so, while the pirate captain was sitting trying to fix up her ship and everything like that, apparently, back on the ship, before the ship had crashed, there had been a giant argument about how my brother did not want to abandon me on a deserted island, and neither did the cook, Salty. Salty also didn't want to abandon me on a deserted island, but the rest of the crew decided they did, so they threw my brother and Salty off the ship, leaving them stranded in the ocean. And so after I had found my own ship and all the crew had abandoned the ship because the ship crashed and they had gone off to do their own thing, and I was just sitting there fixing my boat until one day, out really far in the distance, I noticed my brother paddling along on this little piece of driftwood with the cook, Salty. And so they paddled on over to me, and so I helped them aboard the ship, really excited that my brother was alive, and everything like that. And so it was a whole great reunion. We got the cook on board, and I gave Salty back his room in the kitchen, and my brother still slept below deck. All was going quite well. And I sat fixing the ship, doing what I could to try to get the repairs done. Until one night, I was heading down to my quarters like I always do at night, just down the ladder and into my captain's quarters with my bed and my armor and everything. And who do I find in my bedroom? Why, it's the captain. Why, it's the cook. Apparently, Salty had decided that he did not like the fact that I was still captain, and he wanted to declare mutiny against me, even though it was only him. And so, outraged, I demanded that Salty get out of my quarters. But Salty's like, nope, I'm not getting out of your quarters. It's in mine now. And so, seeing how mad I was at Salty, I was so about ready to break down that door and make him get out. And my brother's like, I have an idea. And so, when I tried to open the door, Salty would immediately close it. So, my brother's like, okay, I will just run into the room and then force Salty out from the inside. And so I'm like, oh, well, that could work. So, sure enough, we opened the door, he pushed his way into the room, and then Salty held him hostage. And so, even more outraged as I was, that Salty, in one, tried to declare mutiny against his captain, and two, held my brother hostage. I was so mad at Salty. Turned out there was just a tiny little battle in the captain's quarters and everything. Like a big mess to clean up afterwards. But we finally got Salty out of the captain's quarters. And so we took him above deck, and we made him walk the plank. And sent Salty off to go follow the rest of the crew that decided to declare mutiny against me. And so I fixed my ship and went off in search of a new crew that was going to be loyal to their captain and not declare mutiny against me. The end. So, anyway, I hope you enjoyed the story of how I became a pirate. And I'll see you all next time for another story time with Echo, but Echo tells the stories and it's probably random, and I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Good night. So he also says good night, and so does the fraudster over there. Good night.